Well, let's talk about the C. I haven't shared this with you, so this will be interesting to see your reflection of it. But the C is conversations. And it was interesting because when we're talking about the big A, you said it's got to be something that you're pretty excited about,
Right.
and I'm like, you should be talking about it like all the time. You should just like, can't wait to get into a conversation, about this. One of my favorite TV shows, well, not one of my favorite TV show of all time is West Wing. And Josh is he's the policy wonk. And he finally gets in the White House. He's just new to the White House. And he's standing around for a moment. He's like, I'm just going to go get in a pickup meeting. He just wants to, he didn't care what meeting he's in. He wants to be talking about this stuff.
Right.
And that's the way we should be. We should be looking for a pickup meeting, anytime that anybody's at all interested in having a conversation about whatever it is that we like to talk about, whatever our coaching agenda is. And I say that because there's so many ways to market yourself that are not conversations. I could put up a billboard for coaching. You're not going to get any coaching putting up a billboard. I mean, there are things that billboards sell and there's things that they don't. And coaching isn't one of them because it has to be within a conversation before somebody's going to buy it. That's where the buy comes from a conversation. So if you're writing a blog, I think a blog can be a conversation, but one, your blog better be conversational to some extent, or two, you need to be putting it someplace that creates conversation so that there's comments or you're interacting with people. What struck me, and maybe I'm overstating this, but if I'm looking through LinkedIn and I see a meme, a picture of somebody with, 4 sentences, that's never caused me to think, I want to hire them because of those 4 sentences of wisdom. They can help me move my, whatever forward. No, I don't think they can. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is that's out there, and this is why I love podcast chat, especially with, doing this with you, is you and I have a conversation. And I ask people, I say, my hope is that you feel like you're sitting there right with me and Chad in the conversation. Right. And all the really good listeners say, I do.
Yeah. The 50% who are still with us after the first 50% left.
That's right.
They feel like they're in and I think that's a good example, Brian, that when you say have conversations, it's not necessarily that you're having conversations like directly with potential clients.
Right.
But they're somehow participating, or whether it's as a observer or eavesdropper, or they feel like they're participating just by listening. But they're kind of in the conversation, and you're aware that they're in the conversation. And I think also with the agenda, that being clearer on your agenda helps you know, where would I find these conversations? Because again, if you're doing health and wellness coaching, well, that's probably you're going to engage people in those conversations in a different place than if you're doing business coaching.
Well, you can create a conversation through social media. You can do that. You can create a conversation by saying, hey, can we have lunch? You can create a conversation by hosting an event and saying, we think this is an important topic. We want to talk about it. And people come. But I think whenever I think about how am I, where am I going to spend my time trying to get clients? I've got to think there has to be availability of a conversation in there somewhere. I'll give you an example. Yeah. I was at a business expo, and a guy walked up and he had on the community college hat, and I'm like, I know you work with your community college, and I'm thinking, I'd love to be working with the community college. Mm-hmm. And he's got the community college hat on. I said, oh, are you connected to the community college? He said, I'm the president of the board. I was like, holy cow. And I said something along the lines of, I would love to be working with the college. And he immediately began to step away from me. It was not, we were not having a conversation. I was selling him. I was pouncing on him or whatever, what was happening. I ran into him months later. I recognize him. And he's in a situation where I can, once again, at least try to have a conversation. And I just immediately said, what are the keys to being on a board? What's the most important thing to know? And what's your mindset when you get on a board? And he just couldn't stop talking. He was so interested in that conversation. And I didn't ever get to how do I get hired, but I was having a conversation with the president of the college, with the president of the board.
Yeah. I like that.
It was so helpful to just understand conversation.
Yeah.
Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss any of our great content.